Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the All-Star AD on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's All-Star, but first we want to give a shout out to our podcast partners, the Florida Coaches Coalition, the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, and We Coach. You need to add these four companies, these four organizations to your network and see all the great things that they can do for your coaches, your kids, and your athletic department. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for 3 minutes. We're going to give you our sponsorship messages. And again, these are programs, products that I used as an athletic director or a coach, and you should too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Huddle for their support of the podcast. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. When I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And the tools that they provided our teams, our coaches, and our athletes allowed us to play at the highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users. Find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their Wall of Fame, which is actually an interactive touchscreen video console that's going to highlight your school's top performers in athletics, academics, and the arts, both past and present. But it's a lot more than that. It's also an extensive content program that helps you tell more compelling stories to better engage your audience. As I said, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. They'll give you a nice discount. vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thank you to Snap Mobile. Snap Mobile is the parent company for an entire suite of platforms that you can find at snapraise.com. Go to snapraise.com. You'll find Snap Store, Snap Manage, Snap Connect, and of course, Snap Raise, their fundraising platform. We've used it. Coaches love it. Parents love it, and it works. They've helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. And you've heard me say it before. It's true. They'll even give you your money before you start your fundraiser. Does any other fundraising platform offer that? Go to snapraise.com and get started today. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their indoor scoring tables and their video boards in action. They not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director. Sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Nowadays, you need to be a social media guru, and Gipper is going to show you how to do that. Create custom branded content for your school's social media channels. Recognize your players, your teams, your coaches, and you. You don't need any training. You don't need any experience, and you don't need any special devices. Go to Gipper.com. Get started today. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. You'll get a nice little discount. Gipper.com. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support. Go to hometownticketing.com. They are going to show you how to set up and sell your tickets online for all of your events, not just athletic events. And every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager that's providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com and get started. Simple and easy online ticketing. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors typically only hear back from the complainers, that 2% who want to gripe about the program. You need to hear back from the 98% that love and support your program, along with that 2%. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They're going to create a custom survey that allows you to take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with that frustrated parent or your school board or your principal. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Get started today. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the All-Star AD here on the Educational AD Podcast. This is our series featuring 10 great women athletic directors from the state of Florida, sharing their views, their perspectives on challenges that athletic directors everywhere face. Back for her third installment is a good friend, Arianne Seidl. She is the athletic director at Lake Wales High School, and that's right here in Central Florida. So, Arianne, welcome back. What do you have
Thank
for
you
our
so much.
listeners on installment number 3?
Okay, well, like I had already talked to Jake, I kind of debated on what to do. So I'm going to try to throw as much as I can in on this last session. But this is something I'm really passionate about, and I think just as an educator myself for the past 20 some years, and that's just about building relationships. And it's so important to build relationships with your athletes and your coaches and your community. But really building that relationship with your athletes then leads into building relationships with their parents and with their families. And it's just a constant thing that if you have those relationships, you have trust, you have support, and those are all just very critical in athletics. Where we are now. And so I just wanted to go in with some things with kind of how I've done that throughout my career, and with just attending activities and events. And I try and manage my time. We do have over 30 sports here, but they say, why you come to everything? But that's what I would do anyways. That's what our family has always done. My mom's in her 60s and she still goes to sporting events and finds people to go watch and encourage. And so I think that's just part of my nature, but just strongly encourage athletic directors to be a part of the game, be a part of their athletes' activities, and not just go there and be there, but also be in that moment, take in who did well and what they did. And especially for those sports that maybe like golf or tennis that don't get a lot of the highlights, and be able to walk down the hallway and see that golfer and tell them, oh, I saw your shot the other day, and and I'm not a big golfer and I can't talk like all the hype stuff, but if I can at least say that to them, then they get excited and they know somebody else was there to support them. And you may have some athletes where if you say that to them, you might be the only one other than the coach that said that. Or like in golf, they're out on their own. So if you're there in that present moment, you may be again the only one that saw that great shot. So anytime that you can offer your athletes a word of encouragement, uh, kind of away from the sport, I think that helps build that relationship, and in include them in what you're doing to promote the activities and the sports also. So if you do social media, then maybe there's a way that they could make the post for you. Or if you do a TV segment, maybe there's something that they can do to help promote that, or writing for the yearbook or the newspaper, or somehow getting them involved. So build a relationship in that way. I also love, being a PE teacher. I lead the summer conditioning and really enjoy it, and it helps me connect with. I lead it with for the female athletes, and it just finds me that different connection that I work out with them, and they see me sweat, and we get stronger together, and mentally and physically. So that's been a highlight of the last year and a half, is doing that. And they've already asked if I'm doing it this summer. And of course I am. I'm super excited. It is an accountability thing for me, because if I'm going to ask them to show up, then I better show up also. So I really enjoy that piece. And talking to the kids, I know as athletic directors and administration, sometimes we get stuck in that rut of talking to him about, you don't have your grades up, or you were talking in class and this teacher doesn't appreciate that, or you're, kind of the bad stuff we have to talk to him. So make sure you're making that time to talk to them about good stuff, and good stuff that is not just sports. So, talking to them about their family and about what they're doing in a class, or about their job, and some getting outside of that school realm to build that. It just, the more pieces you can put together, the stronger relationship you are going to have with them. Um, like I said earlier, be in the moment. If you are supervising, I do supervision in the morning in front of the cafeteria. And sometimes I'm on my phone and I'm looking at it, and then I realize, oh, these kids are walking past me and I'm not saying anything to them. And if I can just say good morning, then that might be the only time somebody said good morning to them. So, I also make sure they have their badge on and their shirt tucked in. But if you can add something positive in there, I like your haircut. Or, and again, if they walk past you every morning, which most likely they do, you're going to notice if they have a different haircut or different shoes on. And if you can kind of call that out, then it'll be like, oh, somebody is noticing me. So be in the moment when you're in supervision. Don't be like, because I know we also get like, oh, I have to supervise the cafeteria or after school at the bus loop. But take that moment to build those connections and those relationships in any environment that you can, especially those, because the kids aren't really looking for it in those spaces. And so it kind of catches them off guard. But then to be ready, because if you notice something about them one day, then most likely the next week or 2 weeks, they're going to see if you notice it again. So they'll catch on. If you notice them, they'll catch on and notice you more also. And then going on with building relationships, this was my kind of how to connect two things together, is building that relationship with your community. We have a smaller community that is getting larger because, again, we're in Florida and a lot of people are moving in. But we have a lot of community support, and we have that a lot too because we have a really strong booster club. So if you have an active booster club, be active with them. Go to the meetings, talk it up, encourage your coaches to go to meetings and talk it up. Our booster club is very supportive financially, and I don't know if they've ever told anyone no, but they are more likely to say yes quicker or more, I guess, is if our coaches are coming to the meetings and sharing what their athletes are doing. And so our booster club just had the Hall of Fame banquet. I wanted to share about that because it was phenomenal. I know a lot of communities don't do that yet, but I would encourage you to do it. We do a nomination form online on our booster club website, and anyone in the community can nominate anyone that has ever been a Highlander athlete, coach, or community supporter. And so we have nominations that stay on for about 5 years. And then new ones that come in. And this year we kind of keep our inductees numbers into like 4 or 5 each year. And we inducted, I had already said, Octavius Freeman, one of our phenomenal early 2000 tracker athletes. We inducted Mr. Winton, one of our previous administrators and coaches, who has passed away. But man, I had never met him, and I just want to know him. It was so cool to go to the banquet and hear people talk about how they were impacted as athletes by him. And that's why I strongly encourage you to look into doing something like this at your school, because you learn about the history of your athletic program and the people that have impacted it. And you just want to keep making it that good, because those are the kind of people that were before you, and you want to continue their legacy. And then we inducted, actually, he's our booster club president, but he was on our state runner-up football team and our state winning baseball team. and Mr. Barnhart, and then he ended up coaching, and he's done phenomenal things, continues to do phenomenal things for our athletic program. And then our final inductee this year was a former coach, PE teacher, and now she's a referee. So she continues to keep her legacy going and inspiring others. And the speaker that came back was one of her 40 years ago, she played volleyball for her. And again, what an opportunity to offer that athlete to get to come tell her coach, you're awesome. So I just encourage you, again, build those relationships and then continue them with some kind of banquet to promote that legacy and as being to be a Highlander and have pride in it. So those are my final points of being an athletic director.
Wow. You really, I mean this in a very good way. You really backed up the dump truck and gave a ton of great ideas for any athletic director. I love the relational aspects that you talked about in those moments where, you're not in the classroom or you're not coaching, you're not
Yes.
kind of on the clock. Well, actually you
Right.
are, because you're on campus and it's for
Right.
the kids. And so, connecting with them, you might be the only one, as you said, to do that. I used to love to go to our golf matches and the kids would look and they go, wow, the athletic director's here.
Yes.
Nobody else is
Yes.
here.
Yeah, that's what
So
our swimmers
yeah,
say
yeah.
too. They never see, they're like, oh my gosh, you're coming to watch us. Like they feel so special. So
I would
yeah.
say, where else would I be? We're competing for a championship. Go get them.
Yeah.
And again, the Hall of Fame, those recognitions, the legacy for a school, learning
Mhm.
about the history, great stuff. Arianne, always a pleasure to hang out with you. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, find out more about some of the programs you do at Lake Wales, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
My phone number, like I've said in my previous podcast, is 863-241-3405. And I'd love to talk to anyone on the phone. Definitely, probably, you won't be the only one asking questions. I'll ask you questions too. And then email me at arianne.seidl@lwcharterschools with an S on the end.com.
Arianne Seidl, thanks so much for sharing with us on All-Star AD. All the best with the rest of the school year and your summer conditioning. Yeah, I want to see those guns come
Yeah.
September. Sun's out, guns out. So thanks again for sharing. And again, we'll look to connect over the summer.
Yes. Thank
For our
you.
listeners, we do this every single week, and we upload the Zoom videos to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate your support. Come back next time for another great segment and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll catch you next time. Again, we appreciate you listening to this series. We've had a lot of fun recording it, and the segments, all 30 of them, are going to be going into a book, which hopefully is going to be coming out in the coming weeks. Look for it on Amazon. Before we go, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. They help make this all possible. Please check them out. Gipper, go to gipper.com. Hometown Ticketing, hometownticketing.com. Huddle, go to huddle.com. For Snap, go to snapraise.com. For Vital Signs Wall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Athletic Surveys, athleticsurveys.com, and Sideline, sidelineinteractive.com. I recommend these products highly. We've had them in our school. You should have them too. Thanks again for listening to the All-Star AD. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast. Have a great one.